Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you late this morning, going into early afternoon for a album review, and I guess I'm deciding to do this album review a day early, which is for Halestorm's album Into the Wildlife, the third Marathon Studio album that I'm gonna be reviewing for this Marathon Studio albums I've been reviewing for Halestorm. So I'm gonna discuss what I listened to for this Into the Wildlife album, which is 16 songs if you include the Japanese bonus track, which is Drunk Pretty. And yeah, I'll let you know what I thought of this album. So let's dive into this review. Now, this was one of their weakest albums, to be honest. Um, and the reason why I'm saying that is because there's only one song I really loved, which was I Am the Fire. Everything else is kind of dull, to be honest. And not meaning like the production work and the mixing is not suiting well over me for some reason. Scream wasn't so bad. It was a tolerable track to listen through. It was not a bad song, so I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Um, just some mixing in the song kind of bugged me a bit with how the song was sounding. I Am the Fire did pretty good, so I like that Scream led into the next song, which is I Am the Fire, so that pretty much brought the rating up to what I decided to give it, which was a 4.5 out of 5. Um, Sick Individual was decent. Amen was decent. I'm not feeling for those songs as much, but they did all okay, I guess. Dear Daughter was a little lazy, to be honest, in my personal opinion. Um, I like the message behind it. I just didn't like the song as much and how it was playing out. It didn't execute very well. New Modern Love was kind of dull, to be honest. I just wasn't feeling for the song. And Mayhem, there's this electronic melody in it that I don't know if I like as much. Or whatever. It sounds really weird production wise and mixing. So I gave that a 3.5 out of 5. Bad Girls World was it tended to drag on for a while, so I'm like, this is another weak song, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate this album, I just think it's okay. It's Hailstorm at their weakest, to be honest. Gonna Get Mine was not too bad. It was a decent song, so I gave it a 4 out of 5. The Reckoning didn't sound so bad structurally and sonically and mixing wise. It wasn't so bad, but it was pretty mellow. Apocalyptic was kind of brought the album back on track a bit, but not as much. So I gave that a 4 out of 5. It was a decent song. What Sober Couldn't Say was fairly decent. And I like it heavy. Just that song did drag on for a bit, for almost 5 minutes. So yeah, I don't know. Even some of Lizzie Hale's vocals and how she's sounding in this album when she's singing, I'm not sure if I feel for it as much. Because then she gets to this repetitive lyricism that she's repeating in certain sections of the album, depending on which song it is. It kind of bugs me a bit, to be honest. So, yeah. Jump the Gun was average, not something I'm crazy about, to be honest. And Unapologetic was decent. Decent way to end the deluxe edition. And then the Japanese bonus track was okay. It wasn't a great song, to be honest. Drunk Pretty was a little underwhelming, to be honest. But yeah, structure wise, execution wise and mixing and production. This album didn't do as great as I thought, uh, but it did okay. It's gonna get a pretty low rating, to be honest. Not a low rating to where I'm gonna give it a bad rating. I'm just gonna give it a okay rating. So yeah, Hailstorm Into the Wildlife, it kind of flopped, to be honest. In some songs it kind of flopped. And then there's some stronger tracks, like the ones that are 4s and 4.5s are kind of the strongest tracks, and the ones that are under 4 are the weakest songs, to be honest. Well, yeah, most of this album was a bit underwhelming in my opinion. So overall, I think Hailstorm Into the Wildlife album was okay. Not the best album I've heard, but it did okay. Uh, it's just the electronic stuff in it with the mixing. It kind of bugs me. So sonically, this album doesn't sound very great, but it is what it is. They wanted to experiment a bit more with this album, so they got their chance to do it, and it didn't succeed as well as I thought. But for a score, I'm going to give Hailstorms Into the Wildlife album a 6.5 out of 10. It was okay. Not my favorite album, to be honest, in their discography, but it did okay. That's all I can say about it. Because I know some Hailstorm fans are probably going to get on my ass saying, oh, this is their best album. Clearly, it's not, only because it doesn't sound good sonically and mixing wise. It kind of is a little irritating to get through with this album and a little boring, in my personal opinion, but that's just what I think of this album. So comment below. Let me know what you guys thought of the Hailstorm album, Into the Wildlife, the 2015 album, if you've heard it. And if you like this album review by Hailstorm that I did for Into the Wildlife, comment below and let me know your thoughts on it. Tap like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you can to support the channel. I will be returning to you tomorrow, I think, for some new reviews. I'm actually going to be doing the gameplay stream tomorrow night at 9 p.m. or yeah, sometime around then. Hopefully, if I do it, if I have to delay it, I'll let you know. But I just wanted to come at you today for this Hailstorm album review and see how it would perform. And hopefully you guys like it. I'm just giving my honest thoughts on what I think of it, and that's what I thought of it. It was just an okay album, to be honest. But the final marathon studio album review will be for Vicious for Hailstorm's discography. That'll be a re-review. That's going to happen Wednesday, I think. Or Wednesday or Thursday, somewhere around then. I'll let you know when I decide to do it. But stay safe, take care. Hopefully you enjoyed this album review. I did the best I could to make it as good as possible. And as always, I will see you in my next review.